Hey there, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back. I'm your host, Patsun, and today we're gonna be taking a look at r/Am I the Asshole, where OP's wife got sent to the hospital because he refused to take her back. Let's begin. Today's first story was posted by Reddit user Illustrious Ad.
My friend Sarah, 24, has a history of just fully believing men in anything they say to her. Her ex constantly cheated on her and would lie. Sarah literally had all the evidence she needed, and she still believed him. I am talking chats between him and a girl talking about the hookup, and Sarah chalked it up as a miscommunication. Fast forward a few years, and we talk every once in a while. Still, Sarah is working for a local PD office and always telling me about the hot male cops. After a year, she leaves one station and goes to work for a station a few towns over. During this time, one of her old cop colleagues, Zach, 29, reaches out to her. He starts to tell her that his marriage is over, and if it weren't for the kids, he would have divorced her already. Says they have had a dead bedroom for over a year now, can't get along, yada yada. To be fair, Zach was a military man for a few years and got married young, so for her this was 100% believable. She didn't find him attractive at first, but after a few months of him pursuing her, she finally gave in. Here is a little bit of side info. Sarah has an STI that you can never get rid of. It is with you for life. She takes this very seriously and always talks to guys even before kissing them, since a lot of people would rather not risk it. She also wants to make sure the men are not sleeping with anyone else, since she does not trust the men to tell their other partners. So before she did anything, she sat this grown man down and explained everything. Zach promised he would only be with her. They start fully dating, aka he is sneaking around his wife and coming over after shifts for a few hours then leaving. Zach booked trips for just his wife and kids to go on so he can spend the weekend with my friend. Sarah catches real feelings and starts pressuring him to file for divorce. Of course now it's all about the kids and how he can't risk losing them. Telling her he met with a divorce lawyer and he can't afford one right now. All that bullshit I could see coming from miles away. Sarah needs a break, so she comes visiting me for a weekend and she asked me for advice. I am not proud of it, but I started giving her the worst advice. When she comes, we do a quick Google search or run a background check and find out where he lives, his home phone number, his wife's cell number, everyone's social media pages, her family, and so on. I tell her to start going to his house to see if he is lying to her. Start stalking her social media pages so she will show up on the wife's side as a friend suggestion. Start calling and texting him whenever. They had rules on when she could do that. She takes all of this advice. It took less than a week for his wife to find out. Wife calls her and tells her that everything Zach said was a lie, and they did not, in fact, have a dead bedroom, and she thought they were in a very happy marriage. The wife tells Sarah not to worry, she can have him, as she is going to file for divorce. Sarah, of course, does not want him either now, so she blocks him and sends his wife all the info she needs to prove he cheated. Now both their lives are blown up. The worst part is it has affected both their careers. Since it is the PD of small towns near each other, everyone found out what happened. I am feeling a bit guilty. Zach was up for a really big promotion and got passed on it. She was pretty much harassed into leaving her job and now probably has to switch careers or move. I wished I had pushed Sarah to call the wife or given better advice so this wouldn't have exploited so much in her face.
OP, so you regret your petty revenge? Stop feeling guilty, block Sarah, and stop being friends with people with such shit morals. Your friend is not really that smart, isn't she? She decided to sleep with a married man and to take your obviously awful advice. A little sneaky on your part, sure, but still, the results were awesome. Well done, OP. Our second story was posted by Reddit user No Payment.
I have been married to my wife Emma for 4 years. She was a social work major who I met in one of my gen ed classes. I explained to her I was a mechanical engineering major. She then asked if I could tutor her in math, and that's how we began dating. Afterwards, I decided to get my master's in Japanese to help me gain more career opportunities. My wife thought it was a silly idea and said she wouldn't be funding it, so then we decided to keep our finances separate. It wasn't a big deal since I was still working anyways. I just had less free time, so she was making more than me during this time. It paid off, and I recently landed a high-paying job, and with that came more stress due to me having to travel to Japan often. I've really been wanting to get into gaming, so I invested in computer parts, costing around $1,500. Once I took the parts out of the box, my wife noticed the receipt and asked how I could be so irresponsible with my money. She assumed I still made the same amount, but when I told her that I make triple that amount, she began giving me the silent treatment. During this time, I began to notice my things were going missing. I wanted to go fishing with some friends one time, and when I was looking for my rods, she must have noticed and said she had given them to her uncle. I told her not to take my stuff without asking, but didn't mind too much because they were old, so I just bought some more. Another time, I was about to go to the gym and I was looking for my pre-workout. I always keep 3 jars. I luckily had a can of Monster, and that helped. I asked my wife when she got home from work, and she said she gave them to her cousin. I asked her to reimburse me because they cost $50 a jar. She said I make enough to replace them and just ignored me for the rest of the day. One day, when she thought I was asleep, she was talking to someone on the phone, explaining how she's going to move her parents into our house. She hadn't explained this to me. We only have 3 rooms. One is her office, one is my office/game room, and the other is our bedroom. She told the person on the phone, who I assume is her sister, that she's going to give my gaming setup to her brother to make room and that I'll get over it eventually. So today I left work early to catch her in the middle of her plans. And when I walked in our apartment, her and her brother were then placing everything into a box. I asked what was going on, and my wife, whose face was pale, said she was cleaning when her brother came by. I asked him, did he plan on taking my computer? Of course he denied. So I went in the room to get the iPad we share, and I looked through the texts on there, and it clearly shows my wife telling him when to pick it up and to deny that he had it. I told him to get out and asked her, why does she think she's so entitled to my stuff? I have never yelled at her, and I guess this scared her because she began to cry. She ended up packing a bag and went to stay with her sister. While she was out, I picked up a lock for my office. Her sister texted me calling me an asshole. I'm beginning to think I could have handled this better. I'm looking for advice. Short update 1. After about a week staying at her sister's house, Emma called me and asked if we could meet up. I agreed, and we met at a park. She apologized for everything and said she thought she was doing what was best for everybody. I asked, what if I just gave her expensive makeup to my sister? She admitted that she would be upset. I then asked, why did she think it would be any different for me? She didn't have a reason, and her sister told her how unfair she was being to me. We decided to give it another chance, and she moved back in.
That's stupid! You're stupid! Stop being stupid!
It was going good until she started moving her things into my office. I asked her what she was doing, and she explained how she needed the room for her parents. I told her no, and that's not happening. I grabbed her things and placed them back into her office. I told her that they could move in, but my space has to remain untouched. On top of that, we need to determine how bills are going to be paid because she called me a selfish jerk and then ran back to her sister's. I guess her sister told her she was being inconsiderate once again. And apparently they got into an argument because the sister refuses to take their parents in and said she's tired of hearing about her problems. I agree with her. Her sister has 4 kids. Her sister called and told me everything and said that Emma went to her parents' house. I tried to call her, but she ignored my phone calls for 2 weeks. I decided I couldn't live like this, so I filed for divorce and handed it to her at her parents' house. She called and begged me to forgive her. I told her I'm not sure if I can. She refused to sign it until we go to counseling. I refused and said she had 2 weeks to suggest that. So now I live alone. She still refuses to sign the papers, but that doesn't stop the divorce. It just makes it harder. Short update 2. So Emma was cheating on me. The rods and pre-workout didn't go to her family. It went to her affair partner. I found this out when her parents invited me over to their house. When I got there, Emma looked sick, like she hadn't eaten for days. Her parents asked why I kicked her out, and that me neglecting her is taking a toll on her mental health. Emma sat there silently crying. I explained that I never kicked her out, and Emma refused to talk to me for weeks before I sent the divorce papers. I showed them text of me practically begging her to come home so we can talk it out. I asked Emma, what did she tell her parents? Her dad chimed in saying that I went back on my word about letting her brother stay with me. I asked what were they talking about, and the reason we got into an argument is because they were supposed to move in. Emma ran to her room before she could be questioned. Her parents explained that they were happy with their home and had no plans to leave. I then showed them the text from her sister, Mary, explaining how Emma was mad at her because she couldn't take her parents in. They were confused. I was confused. So her parents called Mary to have her explain. Her brother was also there. Emma just explained everything. Emma was cheating on me. Jake caught her and kind of blackmailed her. So he was a freshman in high school, and we live in a better district where basketball recruiting is more likely to happen. Emma thought I would be more inclined to say yes if I thought it was her parents moving in. Emma's parents called her downstairs immediately. She was listening and began to tell her side. Her affair partner's wife found out, so he thought that relationship was over because she kicked him out the house. He convinced Emma to quit her job because he got a job opportunity in a different state. But he was secretly meeting with his wife, and they got back together. He hadn't put in his 2 weeks yet, so his life resumed normally. Emma, on the other hand, didn't even put in her 2 weeks and just stopped showing up, so she was fired. And when her AP told her it's over, she went into a depression and tried to call me so we can go to counseling. I told her it's over and asked that she sign the paperwork so this divorce can go smoothly. She begged for another chance, but I just left her crying. Her parents informed me later that night that Emma was in the hospital from an OD of pills. I just ignored it. Her dad is asking that I come visit to show I care. I texted back, I don't care. I don't know what to do. The moment I found out about the affair, I fell out of love, but I feel cruel not going to visit her.
OP, she quit her job. She was gonna monkey branch to the affair partner and leave you with her middle finger in the air while she drove off into the sunset. If the affair partner didn't drop her, she wouldn't give a damn about you. Her entire family is toxic. The sister is helping her, her brother is using blackmail, and her parents are guilting you into taking their disgusting daughter back. Go no contact with all of them, OP. Block them all and just let your lawyer deal with their bullshit. Viewer support is the best way for me to remain independent and continue bringing you these daily videos, which will always be here on my channels for you to watch absolutely free. So please consider subscribing to me on Rumble and on YouTube. Both will be linked in the description box down below. Thanks for listening, everyone. If you even somewhat enjoyed today's story, make sure to give this video a thumbs up, and if you really like it, consider subscribing to PattSun to never miss a future upload. Stay strong.